Mark in the Minivan, take 2 with Pearl. I just recorded a 5-minute episode and decided I hadn't really said anything except talk in circles about nothing. So we're going to try something a little different, right, Pearly? Oh, that was I don't know if you heard that. It probably went like this. When I said, let's try something a little different, Pearly went, I don't know what that means, Pearl. What are you doing? All right, she's ready for the walk, so let's keep this quick. Vinnie Vincent. Whenever I talk about Vinnie Vincent, it gets a 1,000 views. Vinnie is YouTube gold. You talk about somebody like, Radiohead or Prince, and no one wants to watch. Bands that actually people respect, no one wants to watch those. But yeah, I might mention Vinnie later. But let's start by not talking about music. Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, comedy. Jerry Seinfeld has a show, which I've been enjoying for years. Loved the one that had Howard Stern on it. Comedians in Cars, I believe it's called. And we've watched Larry David's episode was great. We've watched so many of these, my wife and I. And I think we're watching them now on Netflix. But I used to watch them just like at work and stuff on YouTube. Like this. Like kind of like Mark in the Minivan. Maybe I should get a guest and sit him right here and do an interview with him, like comedians in cars. It's not a bad idea. I just thought of that right now. What an original idea. Not very original, but yeah. So anyways, comedians in cars, Jerry Seinfeld's show, which is now on Netflix. It's great, man. We watched the first episode of the new season last night. Eddie Murphy, a guy who is an icon, and he's been a part of my life. I've never met the guy, but he's been a part of my life because I enjoyed all those movies. I loved him as a young preteen and teenager on Saturday Night Live. I guess it was preteen, man. Yeah, love Eddie Murphy. He's been a part of my life, and he's kind of not as public, not as visible as he once did. And I just thought that this 41 minutes of television or streaming content, whatever Netflix considers themselves, was excellent. And it wasn't... He's not like... I remember reading an interview with him once, and he said, I'm not like a real funny guy in real life. And you kind of caught that. There are hysterical moments in it, but it's more revealing. And the thing I loved about it, you see him warm up when he first gets in the car with Jerry and they go to coffee. He's a little stiff, a little rigid, and then by the time they're driving back from coffee, he's really comfortable and flying. I love seeing that human element of Eddie Murphy, and I miss Eddie Murphy. And one thing he hints at in the interview with Jerry is that he'd love to do another stand-up special, and he hasn't done stand-up for a long time. And again, he's not one of those guys. There's certain comedians you sit next to him in the car, and it's just crack up after crack up after crack up. He's not like that. I have a hunch that he works hard and hones his craft on his comedy. But it's time for Eddie to return. I hope he does. I hope he gets a big HBO special or Netflix or something and does a stand-up special for us. In tour, I'd love to see Eddie Murphy. It's a fascinating watch. Love hearing him tell the stories about, Mike Tyson and, Sammy Davis Jr. talking to him about Satanism and stuff. It's just brilliant. And by the way, Sammy was a card-carrying Satanist. Anton LaVey has claimed this for years. Anton, of course, has been dead for years, but when he was alive, he claimed that. And Eddie talks about Sammy talking to him about Satan. And if you're a Satanist, you don't... there's two different things. There's the Crowley way. There's the LaVey way. I love LaVey. I read the Satanic Bible. The first half of it is brilliant. It's like a self-help book, way ahead of its time, written in '69. And then it suddenly shifts into a bunch of weird page filler shit for the second half of it, which... It starts off good. It gets a little whacked at the end and seems like a bit of like he didn't have much to say after his first part of that. That's see, I go off here. Eddie Murphy. Yeah, so many great stories. Watch comedians in cars with Eddie Murphy. Vinnie Vincent! Speaking of Satan, satanic, Vinnie Vincent had this post earlier this month where he was talking about his songs. It was another crazy rant from him. And he was basically saying that he's not going to release some songs that no one cares about. And he blamed it on the hate groups, on the leftist satanic Fringe or something, and I thought, man, Vinny is a Trumper. I see it now. He is, the left wing, all the problems, it's all to do with them. And, there's people on the left, all the problems have to do with people on the right. Listen, I get it. I'm not going in, I try to keep these not political, but I just find it crazy, man. Trans America, man, they love Trumpy. They love Trump. Do I love Trump? I actually don't. I'm not a Trumper. Again, I know you guys get all worked up because a lot of you guys do like Trump. I don't get it myself. I don't see how you could like him. I actually probably know Trump better than most people because I've hung out with Trump. I'm from New York. I've seen him through the years, and the fact that the evangelicals like this guy blows my mind. And the transies, I know that's probably not politically correct. The transgenders, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, he loves Trump. Now I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I think Vinny is a Trumper. He's never said anything publicly, but my guess is Vinnie Vincent is a Trumper. And I have 3 things. I know when I saw him in Atlanta Live, he mentioned something about being appalled that somebody had suggested he liked Bernie Sanders. And then the leftist comment that he posted earlier this week. And then when I met Vinny in person in Atlanta, there was one of his weirdo hangers-on that was around him, who was this weird-looking dude with like dyed hair, a fat dude, looked a little borderline transy himself, real plump, type of thing going on there. And I was introduced as a guy who had done work with famous people, and I think my friend John said, oh, he's an Emmy award-winning TV producer, which is true. You might not know this. Can't you tell? Can you tell by this TV production right here? I'm Emmy award winning. And he worked for Rosie O'Donnell. And there was a gasp by this guy who was standing next to Vinny. Ooh, Rosie O'Donnell. And Trump hates Rosie and Rosie hates Trump and all that. So I don't know. My guess is that Vinny is transgender, Trump-loving dude. That's just my guess. I have no evidence of that, really, except his leftist comment and a few little clues. But wouldn't that be great? Bruce Jenner and Vinnie Vincent love Trump. And this is kind of like people who, assault weapons enthusiasts who love Cory Booker. I would think that makes about as much sense to me. Because Cory is, out of all, if you're paying attention, which most of you guys aren't, Cory is probably the most anti-gun of the current batch of Democrats running for president. And listen, my political views, I'm a centrist, man. I'm kind of pro-gun, but on the flip side, I own a gun. But on the flip side, I'm like totally like equal rights for everybody. I love diversity. I am in some ways anti-evangelical and all that shit. I'm pro-choice staunchly. So yeah, it's an interesting thing out there, politics, that you have to go one way or the other. So hats off to the transgender people who support Trump, because I would imagine it's a small club for you guys, but maybe not. Anyways, this video makes no sense. Hopefully you didn't watch it to this point.